Today, I'd like to discuss the recent decision by the United States to restrict high-tech investments in China. This move, led by the Biden administration, could have significant impacts on China, as well as on the US and Japan. To understand what kind of regulations are being imposed, please take a look at the article. The Biden administration has finalized restrictions on investments in Chinese high-tech sectors. These restrictions are set to take effect on January 2 next year. Under this new policy, U.S.-based companies and individuals will be prohibited from conducting transactions in cutting-edge technologies such as semiconductors, AI, and quantum computing. Furthermore, any technology that may pose a threat to U.S. national security, even if it isn't considered cutting-edge, will require reporting to the Treasury Department. This includes reporting on transactions involving non-advanced semiconductors that are already widely used. The goal here is to close loopholes that may allow the export of technology to China, even if it's not cutting-edge, to prevent China from acquiring potentially sensitive tech. One major reason for this policy, from a military perspective, is that modern warfare has evolved significantly, with unmanned weapons being used far more frequently. For example, we often see images of Ukrainian forces using drones against Russian troops, which can give the impression that Ukraine is operating with efficiency and dominance. However, it's also worth noting that Russia, too, has received drones, specifically large drones manufactured in Iran. This underscores that while one side may seem to be advancing, both sides are deploying similar technologies, often resulting in prolonged stalemates. Previously, these types of weapons were not so prevalent, which is why traditional military strategies may no longer be effective. Drones, for instance, require new defense systems capable of countering radio signals that control these devices. In response, systems that interfere with or destroy enemy communication frequencies are becoming essential. The large drones provided to Russia by Iran, for example, likely have onboard targeting capabilities, making them highly autonomous. The technologies that enable these advanced weapons are precisely the types that the U.S. aims to restrict from China. Semiconductors are critical to AI, which in turn is essential to controlling the functionality of modern weapons. With this ban, the U.S. intends to curb the flow of technology and funding that could inadvertently empower potential military rivals, especially countries that might leverage American innovations for weapon development. From an economic perspective, though, this ban presents challenges. For U.S. companies, restricting tech exports to China could mean losing out on significant profits from selling chips and other components essential to AI development. The U.S. government, however, has deemed this trade-off necessary for national security. The American public tends to support these restrictions, partly due to strong national security concerns but also due to a deeper cultural and religious sentiment against communism. Historically, American values, often influenced by religious beliefs, have led to a fundamental opposition to communism. This attitude stems from the core American belief in freedom of religion and expression, which contrasts sharply with communist ideologies that suppress these freedoms. While this decision may mean lost profits for some companies, the majority of Americans believe that keeping communist countries militarily contained is more important. This consensus supports policies that restrict China's ability to develop advanced military technologies. Now, let's consider Japan's position. With high-tech investments from the U.S. restricted and critical components like chips potentially no longer flowing into China, Japan might become a target for Chinese technology acquisition efforts. China's official stance is that they can develop such technologies domestically, but historically, they have struggled to innovate independently at the cutting edge. This lack of independent innovation often leads China to seek technology through partnerships or even covert acquisition from countries with weaker security protections. Japan, in particular, needs to be vigilant, as it is geographically close to China and may be a prime target for industrial espionage. The U.S. is likely to pressure its allies to limit exchanges and protect technology that could be of military significance. However, Japan's general public and even some policymakers may lack the same level of vigilance as their American counterparts. Japan needs to prioritize national security over short-term economic interests if it is to effectively navigate this complex situation. In conclusion, the U.S. decision to regulate high-tech investment in China has profound implications for both Japan and the broader region. It challenges Japan to strengthen its defenses against potential security threats while balancing economic and national interests. What are your thoughts on this topic? I look forward to expanding on this discussion in future broadcasts, incorporating your feedback on the implications for Japan, the military significance, and how this may affect global economics.